I'm here with my friend Laure Jackson. Hello, Anne.
Hello, it is really good to see you. Great to be here.
First off, how is the Sante Centre in Jersey going? Because we've got a little bit of echoey thing because you're in a new place. But how's it working with all of that stuff?
How is it all working? It's just a lot of work in progress. So my existing centre is still up and running and available for families, and that's not being touched at the moment. We're just renovating a new place, which is a bigger place, and parking and a lovely kitchen. So I hope families will be able to come in, use that. As well as everything else. But yes, it is terribly echoey. The electricians finished yesterday, so I'm very glad to have power to be here today because everything was just up on the wall and the sockets were all everywhere and there was no lighting. But yes, no, life is really good. Lots is happening. It's a good time to be alive.
We're doing a series at the moment on sensory healthy something, but we could do sensory healthy madness. Sensory healthy business. How do you have a sensory healthy business? That could be a future session as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, 100%. Because I am very strategic in my day at the moment,
Yes.
with lots that is happening, and as I'm aware that you are too. It's right. Okay. Yes, we need to be in tip top. You need to be in tip top condition. And how do you stay in tip top condition when there's stuff happening on all different levels: emotional, physical, spiritual, financial? Lots of stuff happening. But how do we stay in that good place and in a place of joy? In the midst of it, because that's what we are, that's what we're called to be, and that's what we are allowed to be, and supported to be. So it's just like, yay.
We're not going into a sensory healthy busyness at the moment, not business, busyness with a Y. But I think it's important to realize that, when you're busy, you're going to get tired, and that's okay. So when I do live radio, it's really tiring. If I'm doing live radio with multiple interviews, it's exhausting. I absolutely adore it. It's my favorite thing in the world. Do you know what? I still get tired, but that's okay. The tiredness isn't the problem. It's the relentless tiredness without a pause or a break, or doing something that, I'm going to put it this way, something that God didn't ask you to do, in which case all of that energy you've just spent, it's not going to suddenly come back again, because if you're not walking in God's strength, you're walking at own, you're going to be exhausted.
Mm. I had a beautiful thing this week actually. Just I realized that I was reaching a kind of capacity. And we have lots of people in our household at the moment. And so I just asked my son, I said, look, would you be able to make tea for everybody tonight? Because I just need some time out. And one of my major timeouts is a swim and a sauna, as I'm sure our listeners are quite well aware by now. This is something that I absolutely love to do. And I just got to that point, and he gladly said yes. Yes, Mum, you go, because they know just quite where I'm at and what I need, and I came back so well, and he'd made a lovely tea, so it's just like we were all happy, and it's just like those little. Well, it was quite a big thing for us. It's just like, would you just I need somebody to take responsibility for this at the moment, because with everything else that's going on, I just need that I need to feed myself and take care of myself for a moment, so I can share my love and abundance with everything that's happening at the moment.
I have cooked dinner in your house with your sons, and it was really good fun. I really enjoyed myself a
Oh,
while back.
a while back.
They're great. Right. Now, we have been looking at sensory healthy stuff. So we've done a healthy sensory. I've got a complete blank on everything that was in my head, has just gone spinging out. We've done offices. Do we do that one?
We have talked that we might do. There's been elements because we're always chatting and
Yeah.
things just come up and we just kind of like go off with it. So yeah, there's been a bit of offices and there's been a bit of
Oh, circus.
oh yeah, circus is coming for sure because I
Yeah.
have just been.
There we are. But we want to talk about a sensory healthy festival, because summer, it's festivals, conferences, festivals. We'll use the word festival. Also, because very exciting, I can finally talk about the Pure Family Festival, which launches in 2026. I have been waiting for months to talk about. I know you know all about this, but I have been sitting trying only ever to talk about Project 7, which is our cover name, it's our code name. And then we are actually now allowed to talk about it, which is very exciting.
Oh, I am so excited for you. I like really and so excited to be there. Like it is in the diary. It is like 2026. Yes, this is going to be
Yes.
something
Let
special.
me get the date right and the website, because I've had to obfuscate the truth for so long to try and be a little bit careful. So this is www.purefamilyfestival.com. purefamilyfestival.com, which happens the very, very first one on the 1st to the 4th of May, 2026 at Adventure Plus in Oxfordshire, England. It's
England.
so exciting. But it means we can have a really good conversation because you're going to be involved in this anyway. But because I know of you, I thought, well, how do we approach the festival? Because there's loads of festivals around. Some are very successful, some are very, very loud. This is aimed at creating space for families just to be. That's, even as I say that, I think, oh, I'm looking forward to this. Less so the organization, but that's the idea of the festival, because as a family, I mean, you've got a busy season at the moment, so have we. You've described how you sort of reach, I'm going to use the word critical mass of mental capacity is how I would phrase it, because there's a point at which your brain just goes, nuh-uh, I'm done. See ya. And we have to do something to basically give a massage to the brain. Now, that could be going for a walk. It could be going for a cycle. It could be going for a swim in a sauna. There are different things we can do at different times. For some folk, it's just being silent in a room with an eye patch on in the middle of the day for a 10-minute nap. Dr. Richard Scott, GP, does that fairly frequently. But there are all these different things that come and go. But festivals can be people's nightmare and they can be people's heavenly place, which is why we've gone for a family festival that hopefully, God willing, simply creates opportunities for the whole family to be together in a place where they can be together and just to be.
Oh, that, as you say, just hearing those words, I'm relaxing into it, even though I know what festivals can be. The fact that this is going to have some different elements to it, a different focus, or a very much a thought through focus. I mean, we have a lot to discuss between now and then as to how we can make it the sensory healthiest possible, and we're only just starting that journey just because it's all coming together. But I'm so looking forward to what it's going to be and how it's going to be felt. It's going to be a funny thing, because a lot about sensory processing is what you feel. It's not about what you're thinking. It's not how your brain is fed with the mental stimulation. It is about how your brain and your body are fed with the sensory input, which you can't always put your finger on, but you know when you feel good. And that's what it's about. Sensory integration and sensory health is about feeling good, about feeling calm, coordinated, content, confident. And we want people to be relaxed and happy to be as family. And if you've got children with additional needs in particular, or adults or siblings or aunts and uncles with additional needs, that they are going to be as welcomed and as relaxed and as supported as we can practically do so over that time, because it is just, we want folks to come and just to be and enjoy being together and enjoy being with one another.
My very, very first festival since I was about 15, so 3 decades ago, was Big Church Festival last year, which I know you came to with some of your family as well. And for me, it's amazing. It's 30,000 people in a field in the south of England, and it was great. My first festival for 3 decades, and I loved every second of it. I still came home and thought, got my own toilet. I can wash my hands when I want to with running water. I've got a clean towel. And there are things that we miss, but I couldn't wait to go back because it was brilliant fun. But if people are listening to this thinking, well, we can be ourselves in our garden at home. Yeah, but are you? Do you ever actually do that? No, because we have to actually make a deliberate effort. Like you said about how your brain has sort of come to a point of, do you know, my whole body, I just need to go and do something for me. So you went off and had your swim in your sauna, and that's your way of kind of switching off, switching out, I suppose, in a sense. But we have to actually make the effort, because we don't just relax. There's passive resting where we just don't do something. There's some great stuff. We watch as a family. We quite often watch a box set. That is absolutely, definitely passive resting. We sit on a settee, we have a drink or a dinner, we have dinner on trays, and we watch something on the TV because we're fairly busy. That's our passive resting as a family. But one of the things that we don't do great at as a family, because we work together, live together, rest together, we're not so good at active resting. And that's where I'm hoping that this festival, Pure Family Festival, won't just be a place that you can just be, but you will deliberately want to be in order as a family to have some active resting, which isn't about rock climbing, swimming and running. It's about dedicated time.
Yeah. And if people are traveling, which is the only thing that people that has the potential to be more stressful. We could talk about how to help the actual journey too, because that's, you can have the most amazing time when you're there, but then you've got the journey too, and you've got the journey after. And sometimes you can feel that the stress involved in going somewhere is just counters the good that can happen. So we want, when we're considering festival, it's just like, how from leaving the door or even preparing before you even go, what are all the different steps that we want to help you to consider, so that the whole experience can be as refreshing as possible.
Because festivals can be very stressful. They can be wonderfully liberating and refreshing, and we can enjoy music. If it's a music festival, if it's I don't know, a rock climbing festival, then we're going to go on some rocks and climb some rocks. But it doesn't really matter about the activities, if you like, want to put it that way. It is about our commitment into it. And here's an old school phrase: if you put more in, you'll get more out. But isn't that true?
It is true, 100% true. Yeah. Yeah. Oof. Says what
When we invest into our time. But that's the difference. And I think that's where I'm excited about what this can do for families in particular, because my heart and passion is always going to be for the whole family, getting everybody together, whether it's an all age service in the church, which I actually do well at doing, have 8-year olds, 6-month olds, and 88-year olds all in the same room happy. It does take some skill and some planning. It does take some effort, but actually making the effort, when people commit, it's so much more fun.
And that's what I'm so looking forward to, I think, more than anything. Especially when so much of our life is, I call it segregated. People may not like that word, but it is the when you're a family and you've got this age going here and you've got that age going there and you've got that activity there and you've got that activity there. Yes, there's a place for all of that, and we love that. Even as a parent and as a wife and as a mum, I like to do things for myself, with my friends. And so it's not saying that that stuff isn't valuable, because of course it is. But goodness me, when you are a family and you love the opportunity to do things together, it is utterly precious when that is provided for you, because there's not a lot of places that actually are providing full family activities for everyone to enjoy. And there's no pressure to have to send your children, or there's no peer pressure. Okay, there may not be the pressure to actually send your children out to this, that, and the other, but by the fact that there is nothing really catered for, or it's not advertised as we just want you to come together and be together and enjoy the experience together, then that's a precious thing, when there is no peer pressure to send your children elsewhere.
I remember going on a men's weekend years and years ago. I didn't have a great time. One of the reasons was this: I think because I was a stay at home dad and I was the only person that didn't have gainful employment, as somebody called it, because I was just taking the lazy, easy way out, as somebody else described. You know what? Being a full time stay at home parent, nuh-uh. It's harder than any truck driving job I've done. Toughest truck driving job, delivering 20 tons of stone at a time in a tipper truck by a mile. I've done loads of jobs. That's the hardest physical job I've ever done. Being a stay at home dad full time makes that look easy in comparison. It's really hard work. And because I was at this weekend, I took an opportunity when everyone went to bed. I thought, I'm going to sit in this like common area. I'm going to read a book. And it was silent, no noise, no expectation. If a child screams, I need to go running to look after them. I was just sat there, and a bloke came and says, well, I don't know what you're doing. You should be in bed because you need some rest. And I said, look, this is actually a really precious, valuable time. I want to take half an hour to myself because I can. And there was an expectation, an assumption that I was like every other bloke in the room. Well, I wasn't. And I was all at the same time. But actually, for me, just taking half an hour to read a book without any need to be worried about who I was caring for because I was away from home, that was one of the most precious times in that time of my life, because I took that time for me just to be, and then somebody tried to ruin it, as can happen.
Oh, that's really hard, that, because those precious times, especially when you are caring with your mum, your dad, you are an actual other carer, to get those moments when you are not, because you have heart to be there for the other person. That's all for other people. That's exactly what it's about. So to have, I mean, my retreat times, I'd have 1 or 2 holidays a year, although they would be family holidays. There would be still opportunities where I would kind of like hide away in the caravan. I would hide away in those things, not hide away from anything that I didn't want to be involved with. There are wonderful things happening, but it's just I need some space. I would love some space to know that that other people are looking after those that I normally look after. That's very important, very, very important.
Because the alternative is somebody saying to you, Anne, how dare you have a day off? I need you to fix this problem with my husband, and they're tired and they go, how dare you have a day off? Well, the thing is, you can probably work that day off and you could probably help. But if you keep having that day off taken, in a few months' time, you won't be helping anybody at all because now you'll be in a doctor's every day who's helping with depression after a mental breakdown. So those times out are not wasted. They are so valuable and precious because it gives us the ability literally to recharge. And the great thing about rechargeable phones, rechargeable whatever, laptops, we now understand the principle of when you have something switched on and it's working, it's using power. And if you want to have that thing to keep working in an hour's time, you have to plug it in. And you know what? When you switch it down, it charges an awful lot faster.
Mm-hmm. I just love the what this festival is going to do for just an opportunity to recharge. That absolutely will be the prayer of the whole thing.
It really is because I want to see families have an opportunity to stop just to be. Because that's powerful. Let's just touch a little bit more into Sensory Healthy Festivals. Now, we are still planning all the stuff that's going to be gone. There will be things you can do to let off some steam and to run around in a organized, structured way. Yeah, of course, we're going to be planning some of that stuff. But in terms of a sensory healthy festival, you've already said the journey could be quite stressful. So let's start there. You know, you're going tomorrow morning, you're going to be getting in the car. It needs to be packed. You need to get from point A to point B, and then you're away from home for the next 4 days. How do we best prepare ourselves specifically for a long weekend? Because this is 4 days, for a long weekend somewhere we're not familiar with. It's not our home. How do we best prepare ourselves and our family sensory health wise?
Yeah, I would almost take the 4 weeks beforehand just to break down all the planning, the preparation, to take a look and see what are the kind of things that you need when you are automatically doing things in your own environment. You realize or you're not conscious until you pay attention to the times that you need to sit in front of the TV and just veg. So during those 4 weeks before the lead up, it's like, well, actually, how much time do you have on your own during the day? How much time do you have with others? How much time do you spend conversing? Do you have any quiet time, which means there's no noise? How much of your time is spent in lots of high social events, so that when you come to a festival, you can try and keep that level. We would call that a sensory diet. Keep that level of activity in a way that you have automatically adjusted to, and hopefully have got a right sensory diet for yourself. If you're not stressed at home, if you're not depressed, or if you're not anxious, or if you're in a good place at home, really pay attention. I have a weekly timetable that I split into like half-hour slots to help families and to help people reflect on what what a week looks like for them, so that we can have a baseline for them to actually pay attention and to be very conscious of what their life looks like as far as their sensory needs are concerned. How much time they spend outside in daylight, how much time they listen to music, how much time they whatever. So those weeks leading up to it, take note of what you are doing on pretty much on a half-hour basis. How much time are you sitting? How much time are you walking? So that we can factor those things. You can bring that information into your festival day and even break up your car journeys if you know that you're used to sitting at a screen for 2 hours and the rest of your family are quite able to do that too. Well, then you can drive for a couple of hours. But actually, if not, if your children are going to really struggle to sit, there are screens that can help. There's other things that they can push and pull on, and toys that they can play with. But you might just want to make it a 2-day journey so that you can have these little stops and go and visit places on the way, or just break down the journey if a long journey is going to be more disruptive than otherwise, and you can plan in little activities, or you can plan going to the local swimming pool on the way, or not a local or a local swimming pool to the place that you're traveling through. It's finding those things. But I always like to be well planned, say the month before, to really have a look at what is a sensory healthy day for you, and find those elements of what is working for you, and bring those as close as possible into the choices that you will make over the festival for how much you get involved in certain things, or how much you'll need to go for a walk, how much you'll need some time away, all those little details.
We have a checklist. As a radio station, we do quite a lot of traveling, and we can go to different days. So recently we went to Christians Against Poverty. So we have a checklist which has everything we can physically take anywhere with us that's relevant to the radio station. And then what will happen the week before or 2 weeks, we have a production meeting about we're going to Christians Against Poverty. Right, what do we need? So I'll then go through that list. I'll mark off everything that I want to take with us. And then there's a little tick box which I don't touch. Then somebody else will pack all that stuff into crates for us, and then it gets loaded into the car. As that happens, it gets ticked off. So we know that we go. Now, some people might think this next bit is a bit odd, and why doesn't Andy B do more? I'll tell you why in a minute. But I don't pack any of my clothes or toiletries. I have nothing to do with that. I don't pack any of the crates. Why? Because you've got a really good team built in. And that's a waste of my time because I'm doing other things that only I can do. And some people can do that. So my wife has always packed my suitcase, not because I'm lazy, but because I pack the car, which she doesn't do so well. So she packs the suitcases and the crates for a holiday, but I'll get the stuff in the car. That's how we function. And because we do this quite a lot now, we've got quite a lot of different size crates. I make up a list. This is what we want to take at a production meeting. We talk about it, mixing desk, 2 microphones, both cables, spare cables. That all goes on. And then somebody packs it. So I was driving to Christians Against Poverty. It's what, 2.5 hours or something, 2 hours? And I hadn't checked anything in the back of the car other than making sure I packed the car. Why? Because I ticked off a little list somewhere. And because someone has gone through and ticked off what I've said off our master template, if you like, I know it's there. And then somebody else checks the crate as well. So that's how we work, because we do this a lot. Although that sounds quite a lot and technical, it's really not, because the fact that I can go from our office to Christians Against Poverty, having not looked in one single box, knowing that when I get there, I've got what I want, it's because I trust the systems. It's because I trust the people, and the people trust the systems, and we all work. So that might be a bit overkill. It's not because I'm lazy when I don't pack my own clothes. It's because Jo does that, but she's not so great packing the car. That's a bit ideal. So we split the load about who's going to do that the best.
I think that's brilliant. And so that's the real practical side of it all, which absolutely should be part of everybody's preparation to coming. And those tick, I don't know anybody who doesn't benefit from a tick list.
Nope.
Whatever you want to call it, it's a precious thing and such a practical thing, and that's a lovely element of trust, and also finding out your strengths. Now, if a family is not used to doing this, and it could be a bit interesting. You have yours finely tuned now, and as the children change in their ages, they get more competent at certain things. Then it's nice to be able to help them to train them to take on more responsibilities for doing certain things, but. I think that's lovely when you get to the place where you can actually, if you've got that place of trust.
It's not a regular conversation that Jo packs my rucksack full or my suitcase. It's not something I would normally say. But people have found out about that and says, oh, that's a bit lazy. Why don't you do that yourself? Well, I could do, but since Jo can't do interviews because that's what I do, because people want to speak to Andy B, I then have to do both things. And you either trust people or you don't. Now, it doesn't always go perfectly. Maybe something's missing, but then you have a choice, don't you? Why haven't you packed this? So I always have a teddy bear. I always have done when I was going trucking around the UK. I have a teddy bear that Jo bought me before we got married. It goes everywhere. It wasn't packed in the last time I went away. And I got open, put a suitcase on the bed, opened it up, and there was no little teddy bear. Now, he goes everywhere. He has done for 30 years. My wife didn't deliberately, maliciously not put it in. I wasn't angry or upset or, thrown a strop. It was just, it's not there. Okay, I'm sure that was, and she said, I'm so sorry, I forgot. And that happens. But that's because I've got a fairly good, balanced sensory health integration of my systems. If I didn't, and that teddy bear was missing, all of a sudden, for me personally, that could have then become a huge issue.
Yeah, it could absolutely. And that's where our families are going out. And if there's a favorite blanket or something, most families will buy 2 or 3 of the same thing if they know that their child has got
Done that.
Yeah. So it's just like, oh no, and then you wash it and it changes and
Hmm.
yeah, quite a few like little, well, yeah, sensory stresses along the way, but it's yeah, trying to find for the sake of something that is lost, even if you can't find the same teddy or find a blanket, try and build in over the next year or before you know you're going away to find something else that is a comfort toy or a comfort blanket, for want of a better word. I mean, they're beautiful sensory experiences, but there's lots of layers as to why these things are important for some people.
Now, I think for Joe, that was not the most important thing. Clean pair of underwear probably matters more. That was definitely there. The teddy bear, yeah, it's gone everywhere. But you know what? It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to have a strop about it because it's just a teddy bear and I can survive. However, charger for the mobile phone, that was in because that becomes even more critical because specifically of what I do. Making sure the mixing desk is in there and my laptop with a charger. That was all sorted. Because people will forget things, but the most important stuff is to get from where you are safely to where you're going. But I like what you're saying about the fact that when you're going to a festival, don't just arrive at the festival, build up to the festival over a nice long period of time so it's gentle. So when you're actually arriving at the place, you're ready to go, not just because you know the car was packed well. Yeah, we're fairly efficient, but we travel loads of places with different sort of needs and requirements. So yeah, okay, of course we're going to be quite good at that by now. But you don't have to be as experienced as us to have a really good time of packing the car because it either becomes the chore that you hate, chuck it in the car, don't want to do this, or it can be a fun exercise.
I think the more we can make the whole experience as fun as possible. So it's not just let's get to the festival and have fun. It's like, oh, how can we enjoy the process from the planning stages, making those checklists and making the, you know, everything that needs to happen, getting your sensory diet in place so that you know that when you get to the festival, you're gonna need to go for a walk before you actually go and join any of the activities or whatever it is, or you know, your time out or you're listening to a podcast or something. So you get all of those preparations done. It's just like, how can we enjoy the process? It's like, it's life. Life is the journey. We have a destination, especially in faith, we have a destination, but actually our kingdom, we're to bring the kingdom here on earth. So it's like that bringing heaven to earth is our job now, as well as the destination of when we actually leave earth. So it's making the most of it, enjoying the journey, enjoy the process, not just the festival itself.
Which I think is really the point because if we're trying to create a festival, which we are with purefamilyfestival.com, we're trying to create a space for families to be. Don't just arrive. That's it. That's when the good times start. Because actually, unless you are insanely too far sensory integrated, that's not anybody. So actually building the preparation up to packing the car, to driving the car, planning the journey out. Okay, it's a 2 hour journey. We don't normally sit for 2 hours, which is what you were saying. We'll have a break. We'll factor it in. Go on Google Maps or Bing or whatever it is and find what's halfway. What have we got? Do you know what? There's a swimming pool. Let's go and have some fun. There's a country park we can go and park in there. We'll have our sandwiches in the nice shade of a forest. Kids can run around to the heart's content. Then we get back in the car. So it's breaking it down into small enough pieces that it's not one big mountain to climb, but like you say, life's a journey. It's lots of little steps.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it already. I've got a big journey to, I'll be flying over and everything. And then, yeah, so I'm doing that.
Yep. And my heart and passion for the festival is literally is creating a place where the whole family can just be. In a world of craziness, in a world of social media, be no Wi-Fi on purpose. I'm not going to ban mobile phones, but we're not going to provide Wi-Fi because we want to try and create distractions of a good kind, space. That's what we're trying to create. We're not just kind of an empty field for you to camp in, but it is going to be trying to create an opportunity for space deliberately on purpose, resting on purpose, as opposed to sitting there doing nothing, which is an entirely different thing.
Yeah, because I can just imagine with you even saying that just now, the number of parents that are going to go, no Wi-Fi, what am I going to do? Because the screens are a mental health saver for so many families.
Yep.
And it's just like, I will do my utmost to work with companies that are in the UK to provide things for the festival so that there is a space, that there are things to do that are really healthy sensory wise and that your children will love and that you will not feel absolutely panicked of thinking that there is no Wi-Fi. We will do our utmost to make sure that there are things to avoid, so that we don't get to the overwhelm in the first place, and make things as best we can to provide really, really healthy sensory experiences so that the whole family feels good over that time and not dependent on a screen. Obviously, you can download certain things, and that'll be helpful. But yeah. Do not fret, and if there's anybody who went into a sudden panic there, let's bring those arousal levels down, stress levels. That it will be a beautiful thing.
Yes, just be clear. We're not banning digital devices. We're just not providing Wi-Fi. We're providing other things. Just be very clear. Because I can imagine some parents are now sweat beads coming down. But that's the whole point. It's creating an opportunity. And here's the other thing I want to talk about. When we go to a festival, it's not what we do normally. Unless you're working in a restaurant chain that only goes to festivals for 9 months a year, going to festivals is not routine for most of us, or conferences or what have you. So you're in a different environment. One of the great things, and we've made advantage of this when we moved house, for example, all the routines you've normally got are gone. It doesn't matter how much you prepare. We take crates with organized. We've got a sheet on it. We know what's in each box. When it comes back, I can promise you now it ain't in the same box, because I find a box and chuck something in it. So it goes out neat and ordered, and it does not come back the same way. I can promise you, as good as we are. So one of the jobs, we get back to the office, we tip all the crates out and we put things back where they're supposed to be, because you can prepare nice and gently. But when you want to finish, you're just going to chuck it in a box, chuck it in the car and go. And that's why we don't overpack our crates. Little top tip: don't overpack stuff, because if you leave little gaps in things, just enough, it doesn't matter what goes back in afterwards. Little top tip. But yeah, we break the routines up. But because there's no routines, either that causes us immense stress because, well, at 4 o'clock, my child gets up and watches a film. They can't do that because there's no TVs. So what we're going to do instead? So now you've actually got an opportunity to invest in trying something new that you wouldn't ordinarily try. And that's something I like about festivals or holidays or going to someone's house for dinner, because now you're not in your own environment, and it's a really great opportunity for parents in particular to try and do something different, because there isn't the excuse. Is an excuse. It is an excuse. There isn't the excuse of, well, this is what we normally do. Yeah, but you can't. So what could you do instead? And having the opportunity, hence space just to be, to find what else could we do instead.
It's going to be fascinating to see. I really hope people will have the confidence to try, and we will. Trying to think, to put things in for the parents so that when the stress levels get that much, because the routine has changed, there are places, there are opportunities, there is space for the parents to be utterly cared for and loved through the changes and the impacts that those changes will have on the family. But it could be a really positive, well, it will be, a really positive thing.
And if you're thinking festival, child, no Wi-Fi, bring a screen, that's fine. But no Wi-Fi, how are we going to cope? Well, as you said, we're going to try and create alternative things to get you interested as a whole family. As much as there'll be stuff for you to do, you can go off and do bits and pieces. That whole point is to create also moments that anchors your family in a position of being together, which is honestly, it's priceless. I spend every day with my entire family. There's 5 of us. We live in the same house. We work on the same projects with Pure Radio and the magazine and the festival. That is our life. So we are a little different to many because we literally spend every day living and working and resting together. But we're trying to create something of that, one tiny portion, where we create that opportunity to be as a family so that you can just be together in a very different environment that will be very relaxed and very comfortable and very safe. That's everything we're going to create. That's almost the boring bit. Well, of course it's going to be comfortable and safe. Otherwise you wouldn't want to come back. But actually on top of that, we've got people like you who can say, okay, let's look at the sensory health. And my absolute prayer and heart and passion is that families come back having rested, which isn't necessarily always the way. They're closer together, which a lot of festivals aren't necessarily going to try and do. I think segregation, it's not a nice word, but it's the right word. Most of the time, children over here, adults over there. Oh, you're a teenager, go over here. That's fine in some context, perhaps, although I would always try and say, let's get the family together always. That's my personal thing. I work and live with my family, so, we're a little different. But actually trying to create opportunities where family can just grow in an opportunity, because there's so much noise that crowds around us, times of busyness, times of stress. And that's why we're trying to create a different space that's not like anybody else is trying to do, in order for people's sensory health, the sensory health of as a family, not just an individual, can be healed, refreshed, renewed, reinvigorated.
Yeah. And I think with coming, if I'd have had this when I was, a young mum, it would have been absolutely precious. But now I'm at the stage where my boys they're all independent now. So that gives me the time. I'm really looking forward to coming and just being and supporting families where I can, with everything that I know, and hopefully all the things that we can put in place. But I want to be able to serve the families that come, just to be able to support them, because I've really benefited, and I have loved my family journey so much. But as I say, they'll all be in different places, and one in America, and one in the UK, and one married, and we're all like families grow up, and that's the thing, and that's the whole point. You help them to get have wings. Not Red Bull, but just they just fly. But it's yeah, but so to be able to go back and help younger families, or families whose children haven't moved home because actually moved out, because not everybody is able to do that either. So it's enjoying those older family relationships for those who are still as households together, or want to come together and bring the auntie and the uncle and the grandparents and whoever, so that you can have that united family experience. So yeah, I suppose it's like, watch this space. It's going to be wow. And the first one.
It is really exciting. I know some of the things that we might be doing, which I'm not going to say yet, and it excites me that over all of that. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting there. I'm really excited that we're going to be able to approach this from the perspective of sensory health. So if I'm trying to think of a few examples. If your child's got autism, okay, we can work with that. We're actually going to have stuff that's going to be aimed to help you better integrate into all the stuff that's going around you. Because I remember what it was like when I worked at an additional needs school. The parents looked forward every year to the school taking their children for holidays, so they could find a normal holiday, as they would call it. Because where do you take a child that's got massive issues in a wheelchair? It's really complicated. Well, we actually gave the opportunity for the families to have what they classed as a normal holiday. That's their words. Because where do you take an electric wheelchair? There's a lot of places that don't take that, and if they do, it costs a fortune. So we can work with a child with autism, with somebody who's struggling. Perhaps their wife has got some sensory health issues. She can't cope with, I don't know, she can't touch grass. That might be an issue, but whatever it might be, we're going to be able to help you, and that's what excites me genuinely, because sensory health is a massive issue, and I'm looking forward to. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting in front of me, because you're our friend as well as a regular guest. But I'm so looking forward to a festival that's really focusing on everybody in their entirety as a family. Whether you're coming as a single parent with one child, whether you've got 5 kids, it doesn't really matter. Whether your children are 4, 25, and 30, that's okay. We are family, and family is going to look different for everybody. But what genuinely gets my heart very excited is that we can have a sensory healthy approach across the board. So there'll be some stuff that sensory healthy people who can't cope or are overstimulated by noise, okay, well, just don't go in that room. Or perhaps if you want lots of stuff and there isn't, well, don't go in that room. And we're going to have, hopefully, that's the plan, is to have different stuff that can cater for everybody, but always that point of an anchor, which is in my head, of anchoring a family together somehow, so they can have that space to be and just enjoy being together as a family.
Yeah. And I really hope that before people even arrive at the festival, that we will have questionnaires that have gone out there, we'll have Google Forms or whatever else, and we can help them to have a look at their own sensory health before they come in. It will be the very first sensory healthy festival in the world, probably, because I created the term sensory health coach. So it's like, but it's getting more and more, out there. And yeah, amazing. We shall see. We will be there to help.
At purefamilyfestival.com, www.purefamilyfestival.com. Early May Day in Oxfordshire next year. You can go and find out more and get yourself connected to that. Sign up to the festival e-news, because all the information you're going to need is going to come through that one way or another. So sign up to that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to creating spaces for families in a world where families generally are sort of pushed apart, and with the best will of the word, in the world to churches, I understand the needs of splitting people off because you've got issues of rooms. I get that, but I'm excited about bringing families to a place where they can be as a whole family, should they choose, together, and that is what I'm excited about. Stick sensory healthy onto that as well. I'm excited. And Laure Jackson, thank you. I'm going to plug that website once more as we finish. www.purefamilyfestival.com. Go and check that out, and you can sign up for the news. And God willing, we'll see you next year. And Anne will be there, and a whole host of other voices and names you've heard about here on Pure and in the magazine. Anne Laure Jackson of Sante in Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you next time.